Inside PressBox is presented by Maryland Mutual Mortgage. Contact them at mdmutual.com for the best mortgage to fit your needs. Joining me now is PressBox Oriole beat writer Matt Palmer. Matt also writes for csnbaltimore.com. Matt, thank you for being here tonight.
I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Hey, Matt, at the beginning of the show we said, hey, there was a tremendous amount of enthusiasm for the Orioles in the air as spring training started. We're now 6 weeks later, a week away from the opening of the season. Are we still as excited about the Orioles?
I think there's a little bit of a buzz. The buzz still remains, but I think the nerves have started to settle in because the right side of that infield, the one that the Orioles are banking on with Lee and Roberts, both of those guys have barely played this spring. And you look at it and you say, what are we going to get here come April 1st? What are we going to get out of these guys?
Yeah, I think the one thing that we know of is that Vladimir Guerrero can still hit, and we know that Mark Reynolds will strike out a lot. Those two things I think we're pretty certain about.
Absolutely.
Are there any, as we get to the end here, do you see many roster battles?
It's amazing to me that at this point, because of the injury to Justin Duchscherer, that unstable nature that he's had battled over the years and now it's carried on into the spring, really this starting rotation still hasn't settled itself. Buck Showalter thinks he's going to have a starting 4 rotation going into the season. And you look at it, Zach Britton's still battling it out there right toward the end when most people thought he wouldn't be here. And you look at it and you got Chris Tillman still trying to fight for that same spot. These two guys are feeling each other out constantly. And then you have Ryan Drees, who's been hanging around, but most people don't think he has that shot. For some reason now he's still in the mix. And you look at it and you have Brad Bergeson, who should, by this point, not be struggling the way he is, but he's battling for his starting rotation life as well.
You know, it's interesting. John Eisenberg wrote a piece for CSN Baltimore where he says the right thing to do is send Britton out. And I look at the starting rotation, and it's still very much a work in progress. You know, collectively, they're 76 and 93. I say Britton seems to have earned a spot. Let's bring him up here. I don't care what's going to happen in 2016 or 17. Maybe it's my age, but we don't know Buck Showalter will be here. We don't know that the labor rules will be the same. Or, God forbid, the Orioles should be good again. Then the money won't seem as problematic.
I'm in 100% agreement. You go with your best.
Smart. I knew you were a smart guy, man.
You got to go with your best. And right now, it doesn't get any better than Britton. Britton has performed brilliantly this spring. He's done everything they've asked him to do. He's gone against some of the best hitters in all of baseball, and he's shown no fear. I wrote about that in the blog this week. I really do think that when you stack up all these guys in the rotation, nobody's been more consistent, nobody's been as reliable as he has, and really, I think when you look at him, the kid's a star right now.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. You and I are in agreement on that. One area that I think we had reason to believe with the way Koji pitched the second half of last year, and Mike Gonzalez was pretty steady when he came back. They added Kevin Gregg at like $6 million or $5.5 million a year for 2 years. They now have $13 million in Gregg, Gonzalez, and Uehara, and Koji's been the only one that's pitched well, and I think he's thrown 2 innings in anger this spring.
Isn't it amazing when you look at this? They went out and got these guys. They said they were going to rely on Koji as well and let them battle out. Let Gregg and Koji battle it out for this closer spot. And then you look at it, nobody's willing to take it. Nobody's stepping up to the plate and saying, this is my spot. And that's the scary part, I think, going into the season. We talked a little bit about the nerves. When you look at it, when you have a closer, you got to have confidence. When you think back to the days of Lee and all those guys that were here over the years, you think about it and it's like, do you really have a guy that you can say, I want him at the end of the game? And I don't think right now they do. I
want Koji Uehara at the end of the games, provided he's healthy enough to be on the roster and not on the disabled list. We got less than 2 minutes. One thing we watch with this team, it's been Andy McPhail's team for 3.5 years, so to speak. Right. And I think he was a little reluctant to put in somebody so powerful as Buck Showalter. Now it's Buck's team and Andy's team, and you can see it in some of the battles, like PA versus Reimold.
Right.
Do you think that their friction can be good for the team, Buck's and Andy's?
Absolutely. When you look at this team over the years, they've really had a manager that just really went along to get along because they wanted to keep their job.
Yeah.
And Andy has been the guy. He's got the rings to prove that he has success. But Buck Showalter has the wins to back up his own success. And you look at it, I think that friction can only be good because they're going to sit there and bounce off one another. Because if they sit there and they take each other's opinions and go, okay, I agree with you, this team's never going to have a solid foundation going forward. And when you have a guy like Buck, who's not ready to back down to anybody, it's a really good thing.
I say 84, 85 wins. Give me a number.
I think 82.
82. All right. Matt, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
CSNBaltimore.com and PressBoxOnline.com. And PressBox, he writes about the Orioles for both of us. Before we take a break, let's look at our photo of the week brought to you by Yuengling Lager, a true American classic. Taste the quality that 180 years of family-owned and operated tradition brews into every single bottle. Earlier this week, the Baltimore Orioles and Delaware North Company's Sports Service showcased some of the new concession stand items that will be able to be purchased at Camden Yards this year. Sabina Moran snapped this picture of PressBox reporter Barrett Neal's home-style meatball hoagie as it was being prepared by one of the chefs. Get a sneak preview of more new menu items and read Barrett's taste test review at PressBoxOnline.com. Sign up for the weekly PressBox email newsletter with the latest Baltimore sports information presented by Toyota. Just go to PressBoxOnline.com and submit your email address today.